Pollard versus Ezekiel Elliott. Let's talk about what nobody's talking about right now. So, before I get into this video, before I say another word, this is how Foots really feels about Tony Pollard. Let's flash back.
Hey, I love when this happens. A guy that I was on so early in the process. Tony Pollard got drafted to the Cowboys. Yeah, but I'm going to tell you right now, the word for Tony Pollard is juice. Juice. He just adds some electricity to this backfield and really to this offense. And I got a number for you guys. 458 yards, 3 touchdowns, all right? Rushing yards, 500 rushing yards. He averaged 7 yards a carry, 6 touchdowns. So he averaged 7 yards a carry. He had 7 touchdowns, at Memphis. So Darrell Henderson had the hype. I love Tony Pollard. I thought he was a better player. I thought he was a smoother player. He went to the Senior Bowl and, to me, just flashed.
Kind of crazy when you think about, first of all, how long I've been doing this, and there's videos longer than that. I look crazy. I'm in the car. The car videos were dope. That was a great time. But then also, it's like, wow, that's who Tony Pollard has been for the Cowboys and more. I think his development is all that you can ask for from a running back. And I wouldn't say a complimentary back, but a guy who is now growing in his role. And I think the Chicago game was the trifecta. Speed, vision, power, the whole nine. As you run the clips, you see what people don't give Tony Pollard enough credit for. He's super fast, but he actually, when he gets downhill, he finishes runs very well. There's a runner I'm gonna play on the screen where he destroys Brisker, and Brisker is my guy. Penn State dude. I mean, he's freak athlete, and Tony finishes forward on Brisker. Those are the things that you just say, man, Tony Pollard has 100% grown in this role. However, I think it's criminal that people are putting these two against each other and name a starter. He should get this amount of reps. He should. Tell me why. Why? Tell me why Tony Pollard should get 25 carries a game. Because PFF and Next Gen Stats and even Football Outsiders has all these numbers. And I'm definitely a numbers guy. But you guys know me, who's been with this channel, understand I'm an eye test guy first. And what I see is the low-hanging fruit is right now when you see Tony Pollard come in and with the long runs, he should be the guy. And I'm going to give you guys some numbers. 949 yards total. That's the number I'm looking at. So through 8 games, you're almost at 1,000 yards between Tony Pollard, who has 500 yards on 81 carries, and Ezekiel Elliott, who has 443 yards on 109 carries. So obviously, Zeke has more carries. Tony has more yards. Fans are going berserk. But what aren't people talking about? Last night, I watched the Philadelphia Eagles play the Houston Texans. I did. And I said to myself, why is Philly struggling with a one-win team? And then I'm watching a running back who I covered in the draft named Dameon Pierce, who was at the Senior Bowl. And I said, man, Davis Mills stinks. But Philly does not want to tackle Dameon Pierce. They just don't want to tackle him. They don't want to be physical. It's quite criminal that people forget the most important part of football is the physical side of football. The will, the want-to side of football. Meaning, Ezekiel Elliott's coming through that hole in the third quarter. Philly's up 20-3. You have to tackle this man. Last night was a tie ball game. You need to tackle this man, Dameon Pierce. And the Eagles did not want to do it. I'm showing clips right now of Ezekiel Elliott. Philly did not want to tackle Ezekiel Elliott. Does that mean that you should not play Tony Pollard? No, it does not. It doesn't mean that at all. You know, Bob Sturm had a great piece on Tony Pollard and just his growth and, you know, the runs that he's getting. He actually hits it off tackle very well. The vision is great. It means that what you're doing is going to open up and expand the offense even more. What's the one thing that people aren't talking about, though? Ezekiel Elliott versus Tony Pollard, who should play, all that. They're not talking about Kellen Moore's run design and how much better it's gotten, and this offensive line. Last year, I sat in the stands and I watched the team get punched in the mouth on defense and could not move the ball on the ground. I watched the San Fran team over and over and over punch the Dallas Cowboys in the mouth physically. This year, with this offensive line, this run game, these two backs that will consistently get downhill, it will not happen. The time is now. These guys are teammates. What nobody's talking about is Kellen Moore has now figured out, hey, what I was doing last year with all the spread sets and leading the league in passing, it softened my lineup. It did. You can ask any line coach. When a line has to catch consistently, they're constantly in spread, and they're not running downhill, they're not running GT, they're not running gap schemes, it softens your offensive lineman up. This year, you see Terrence Steele flat out mauling people in the run game. You see Tyler Smith doing what Tyler Smith did at Tulsa. And you see two great running backs hitting it over and over and over again. Is Ezekiel Elliott the same player? Absolutely not. He will never get the credit he deserves for staying healthy as he has, being the bell cow that he has, and still to this day being a back that teams do not want to tackle consistently. He will never get that credit. But I'm telling you this, in the third quarter, when you have to deal with both of those backs coming downhill, coming down your face, it's going to be a beautiful thing, guys. Let's not make this Zeke versus Tony. Let's make this the Cowboys rushing attack that nobody wants to deal with in the near future. That's the truth. Kellen Moore in this offensive line is what this team is. That's the truth. Kellen Moore in this offensive line is not what. That's the truth. Kellen Moore in this offensive line is what people aren't talking about, and it's what they should be talking about. Terrence Steele, Tyler Biadasz, Zach Martin, a little bit of Jason Peters, and a little bit of Tyler Smith. A little bit of both of them. And Connor McGovern. They are running down people's faces, and I can't wait till it even gets rolling more with play action. Oh, and by the way, our quarterback's back. It's your boy Foots. Hope you guys enjoy this. Peace.